I didn't get very far, but it's talking about us. And look, I'm going to go to page 44 on We Agnostics. That I maybe should read a little bit more. Been talking too much here. So it says on the bottom of page 44 on We Agnostics, if a better code of morals or better philosophy of life. Doesn't that speak to you about diets? Doesn't that speak to you about trying to figure out your problems? The better code self-help books. I talk about another one that most people won't agree with me. I said, self-esteem. People say I want more self-esteem. What does self-esteem mean? It means I want to be better than others. If I have a better car, better house, I'll have more self-esteem if I dress better. And I say what we want is more spiritual, God esteem, right? Get centered. Have your joy and happiness come here. It's always been there. All those defects of character, step forward. What that's all about is just blocking out that flow, the sunlight of spirit, which is in there all the time. If you're upset, depressed right now, it's because you're thinking of the self. Understandably so. We live in a crazy society. It told us we had to have more success, more power over people, and the food. If you want to be happy, it shows you on the TV and it shows you on the internet and all the fast food places when you go. That's the road to happiness. So know the truth from the false. That's not happiness. You can change your perception. Want that lean. When you get centered and you're out of the fear and you're not trying to fight it, we stop fighting anyone or anything. If you want to be in that point of neutrality, get centered, then you could actually feel your insides, your stomach. You can feel when you're full, and you could enjoy. Hey, why not have what I call a blissful diet? Why do so many religious and those philosophical, in the East and West, and they diet, right? They abstain, right, from food, right? They fast. Fasting, right? Because the fasting is a material thing. How can a person who's, when you're gorging yourself with food, when you're interested in money, power, success, how can you be happy? It's taking you away from your center. The same with the food. When you're trying to fight it or this, no, when you get centered, and like I did with the water or God's given food like an apple, I have here a banana, whatever it is, these are the wholesome things. You change that psychic change, your attitude. The diets, forget about. All of that stuff. We need that spiritual awakening. It could be everything. When we have it, it's towards everything in life. It says in Bill's story, he talks on page 13, to solve all our problems, right? All our problems. Hey, when Bill had that spiritual awakening, here's what happened. We'll go to that page 13 in Bill's story. Here's what happened to Bill. What happened will happen to you, and if you had that already, moments of spiritual awakening, and a lot of times some people share in this meeting, and you could just tell they've had it. I mean, it's a life-changing thing when your perception changes from the self and into the consciousness, the spiritual, the source. It's in there all the time. We just blocked it out with this crazy thing, the ego, coming from the intellect. God didn't mean us to use the intellect that way. We weren't supposed to use it the way somebody looked at us, what they said or did. It doesn't matter. So we would see God in everything and have love, patience, and tolerance. That's where we come from, right? Not the ego, the resentment, getting even with people. What jealousy, envy. No wonder, it's all true, that stuff they talk about, the 7 deadly sins, right? The therapy to get happy is a spiritual awakening. It's not, the more you try to figure it out, the more you're into the ego and the self. Do you follow that? The more you analyze the problem, the more you dwell on it. Step 4 says we look at the past, we don't glare at it. And step 5, we cast it out. Cast it out. 6 and 7, that spiritual awakening. The step 3 prayer talks about not making it about ourselves, right? So he said here, common sense. That's what I said before on it's actually page 13. Common sense would become uncommon